back to Nequa Connection. I'm your host, Emma Jenkins, and I'm accompanied by my wonderful guest, Mr. Reid Spears. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Emma. Thanks for having me here today.
Of course. So, Mr. Spears, you are an active member of the Nequa Choir Department. Why don't you tell everyone like a description of what you do?
Sure. I get to be fortunate enough to play for all of the choirs throughout Nequa at both campuses, main and freshman building. And so that includes all of our curricular choirs throughout the day. It also includes both of our vocal jazz ensembles, Wild Scats, Blue and Gold, and as well as our chamber singers, that all three of those ensembles meet outside of the school day. So I am kind of many places at one time, it seems like, but it's a lot of fun to be able to work with that many different groups.
Yes, and you're also a professional musician outside of school, so how does that kind of affect your day as well as being really busy here at Nequa?
Sure. It can make for some very crazy scheduling weeks when there are a lot of other gigs in addition to things that might be going on at Nequa. But I've been very fortunate that I've been able to be a full-time professional musician since I've graduated from college. And sometimes people will ask me how I can do all of the other things I do when I have Nequa. And I often respond that the better question is, since I was doing that first, like how can I do Nequa with everything else that I have going on? But I've told many people that I love the fact that I get to do so many different things that kind of comprise this whole career of being a musician. Some days I'll be here at Nequa playing great choral music. Other times I'm doing my Billy Joel and Elton John show. Other times I'm playing with a professional big band, doing all the classic big band music. I might be doing solo piano jobs like at Gibson's restaurant in Oak Brook. So I love that I get to do all sorts of different things as part of what I do. I'm not just like sitting in my same cubicle day after day, just inputting spreadsheets or something. I mean, it's like a complete variety of a lot of different types of music that I get to do.
Speaking of Billy Elton, your band,
Yes.
So every couple years there's a benefit concert here at Nequa. So how did that concert come to be, and how often, and just details about that?
Sure. Indeed, Billy Elton started because we wanted to do something to raise money to support the memorial funds of two Nequa teachers who had recently passed away at that time, Dave Scheidecker and Tom Schlegel. And I had been kind of stewing this idea around in my brain a little bit about what could we do to maybe help support these memorial funds. And so I had the idea of putting together a concert, and I've always loved doing the music of Billy Joel and Elton John, and I thought we could actually make a night of doing this music, and it'd be a fun concert and it'll raise money to support the memorial funds. It was only ever intended to be a one-night thing, but everybody in the band had so much fun doing it that I think kind of universally we were all saying, like, that can't just be for one night. We need to keep this going. And so here we are 15 years later, still playing all over the place. We are very fortunate that we get to play throughout the Midwest. I mean, in addition to shows around the Chicagoland area, we also have shows coming up in Wisconsin and Indiana and Michigan. And actually this summer, we're actually going to be playing our first national level show as we're booked to play out in Utah as well. So we're very excited that how much the band has grown over the years. But every other year, we do still come back to Nequa and do that benefit concert again. We're really excited that over the course of the previous benefit concerts, we've raised over $24,000 that has gone to support the memorial funds, both for the Schlegel and Scheidecker funds, but also for Leslie Bauman, who was another teacher who had passed away about 10 years ago. She was a friend of mine and definitely a fan of Billy Elton, and she came to some of our earlier benefit concerts. So it just seemed like a natural fit that when she passed that we would obviously add her on her memorial fund for the ones that we support. So yeah, every other year, like clockwork, we're back here to do the benefit concert, and it's still one of our very favorite shows to do because it's where it all started for us, and it's always such a great atmosphere here at Nequa to be able to play for that event.
Yes, I remember my last year here as a freshman, and I heard about this concert, and I was just like, I had never experienced anything like that, so I was so happy I was able to come. You were amazing, you sang great, the band was amazing. It was just honestly just a wonderful experience, and I'm really happy that you guys are doing that and raising money for those memorial funds.
Yeah, thank you.
So did you ever think you were ever going to be like in a school setting? Like how did this job come to be?
Not at all. Sometimes when I talk about the fact that I was a jazz studies major in college, I said that's, it's one of the things that I thought might be most relevant to things I would be doing after college. I knew I didn't want to be a performance major because I had no desire to be a classical pianist and spend 8 hours a day in a practice room. That's just not my temperament. And I always say, and I had no desire to be a music ed major because I had no desire to teach. So the irony is not lost on me that I've spent this many years now working in not only the school setting, but playing for other schools around the area as well. And it was one of those things where when I was first approached about the idea of playing here, I wasn't sure if I was really that interested, but I thought, I can try it for a year. I'm not signing my life away. And if I don't like it, I can suck it up for 9 months and then decide that wasn't really for me and then move on. But I had such a great time that first year. The music staff at NICO is fantastic. The students have always been great and they've always treated me well. And I just coming from the performance side of things as I do, the bar is set very high for the level of artistry around here. And so it's always been really exciting to be a part of some just really, really outstanding performances. So, I've been here ever since. I haven't looked back, and it's been a great run so far being able to be a part of this program.
Yes, and I know everyone in the choir department is extremely grateful for you and all of the involvement that you have as well, like in all the jazz ensembles and in chamber, of course, since I'm in chamber and I see you often because of that.
Yes.
But I know we're just all incredibly grateful. You're just a wonderful presence in class. So
thank you.
I'm glad you stuck it out.
Yes.
And I know music, having a music degree, a lot of people consider that like unreliable. So were your family and friends supportive when you decided and like told them that you were going into that
Sure.
career?
That is a great question. I did encounter some people in my life when I was getting ready to go off to college and trying to decide where I wanted to go and what to major in. And I was leaning toward music, and there were some of those people in my life that say, well, what are you going to do if the music thing doesn't work out? Which I always find an interesting question because you would never go to someone and say, well, what are you going to do if that whole accounting thing doesn't work out? We just take some things for granted in that regard. But two people that never ever questioned that were my parents, and I was very grateful for that and the support that they always gave me. And they've supported me all along, and so it's really exciting for me now. Like, I always joke that a good portion of my knowledge of big band music came from my dad because he was always huge into that. So to be able for him to be able to come see me in a professional big band now is like really exciting. It's like almost like a way of being able to give back and say thanks for believing in me all those years. And they've come out to numerous Billy Elton concerts and a ton of other things that I've done. So it really makes me happy that they can see that I've actually become successful at doing this. Like it paid off for believing in me. And it definitely was a tough decision to make at that time because you do have some of those questions. And, having a daughter myself who's in college now and is every bit as passionate about music as I am. And we did have some of those discussions about, maybe it's best if you're not just a straight out performance major. And not to say that you can't go into a career of performing, but she's chosen to do music therapy, and it's like, okay, so if something doesn't happen right away, you can still be involved in something music related by being a music therapist. And it doesn't mean that you have to decide to like wait tables or something, hoping that your big break will come through. So there is some degree of planning that goes into that, but there are certainly numerous different ways that you can still be involved in music as a career. And so I would say that if that is something that you are passionate about, by all means, find where you think that little niche, would be great for you. Whether it's performing or music therapy or teaching. We always need more music teachers. So there's any number of ways that you can find a career in music if that's really where your passion lies.
Yeah, I know in class we've talked a lot about different career options in music, and it's definitely something I'm considering.
That's great.
Considering how much I love music and how involved I am in music. So do you have any stories about, just playing in big bands in Chicago or just here at NICWA that you'd like to share?
Sure. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to work with a handful of people over the years that have been fairly successful, whether it's, like people who have been part of big name bands like Earth, Wind and Fire, or have played like with Phil Collins, or worked with Barry Manilow, and like some of my friends have gone on to do some of these things, and it's a lot of fun to be able to play some larger venues. There's a show that is based out of Las Vegas called The Rat Pack is Back, and anytime they do Midwest area tour dates, I'm the guy who does those shows with them. So like we've done the Rosemont Theater here several times, and I've done shows with them in Fort Wayne and in Milwaukee and all like these really nice theaters, which is always a lot of fun. So I've been very fortunate that I've just had some great opportunities throughout the course of my career. And, and especially like with doing the Billy Elton show, it is so much fun as we've seen the band grow and our fan base grow that, sometimes you get to do these shows where you look out, these outdoor shows and you see 2,000 or 3,000 people out there just that all came to see you and enjoy the music. So I consider myself very fortunate that I've had the ability to do a lot of these great things and be able to enjoy this career.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. So I just want to thank you again, Mr. Spears, for being here with us today.
You're welcome.
And I'm your host, Emma Jenkins, and that's what we have this week for Neuqua Connection.